Hello, welcome to the Getting Started tutorial for QRlogix Software version 2.4. Today we'll take a look at the dashboard and how you get QRlogix software set up to print from your custom templates to your printers. Beginning in the top right corner of the screen, we have a link to the QRlogix website. And then below that in the banner, we have a support link. So if you need assistance with anything, click on that. And then below, we have video tutorials. So when you finish up with this video, you can click on that button to find more videos on things like label builder, creating templates from scratch, importing from spreadsheets, and other tutorials as well. Below the banner where it says print to images, this is where we set up our printer. If we click the change button, that's going to pull up our list of different printers that are available. And then the properties button, this is where we can go and do things like set the offsets in the event that your label is not printing perfectly centered. You would do that here where the top offset positive numbers move the image down, and left positive numbers move the image to the right. So it's counterintuitive. If you want to go down from the top, you increase the numbers. If you want to go from left to right, you use positive numbers and increase them to go further to the right. You can access the actual printer drivers in your control panel from this button here. That'll give you all the different functionality from printing test pages to your printer preferences, where you can do things like set the label size, the speed and darkness. All those type of things are accessible there. So that's some good functionality that might be needed. We can rotate the label size. If we're using specialized printers, we can defer to the settings inside of the printer instead of control panel. So there's a lot of different functions related to printer setup and optimization that are accessible here in the printer properties button. I'm going to actually switch this back to print to images, which we'll see in a little bit. Print to images allows us to view what the printouts would look like as images here in a folder. In the middle of the screen, you can find a link to the QRlogix folders. And when we open this up, it takes us to the C drive, and here we have different folders related to functions in the software. File drop is set up as a default watch folder that print jobs are sent to as text files or CSV files. The miscellaneous folder can contain different files. Here we've got some tutorials as well as some template files and whatnot that can be used as a part of some of the other video tutorials. Print history, that's a convenient place to export your print history. Print to images or print images folder, that's what we see here, where you'll see what the printouts would look like if they were printing to an actual folder. Print to files folder, that's for a default folder for sending print jobs as text files to a shared folder. So you can use that or a network folder. And then templates folder is a default folder to keep your template files in. You would export them here to back them up. It's important to note that they don't automatically get backed up. You would need to export them to do that. So that's the QRlogix folder access. Below that, we get into the different types of templates. So there's a few different printing methods in QRlogix software. First of all, our data entry. Data entry templates we have here. That's where we type in data or scan a key from a barcode and hit print. We have file drop templates. Those are listed over here. That's where a text file or a CSV gets saved to a shared folder. QRlogix software monitors that shared folder, and whenever a new file hits it, it grabs the file, parses it through the template, and sends it through to the printer. That's a form of automation we call file drop printing. Below that is data sources. This is where we would set up a template, which is actually a data entry form, to connect to a data source such as Microsoft Excel or a CSV or other type of file. We import that data into the system, into a print queue, and then you can print them all at once, or you can print them one at a time, or a group of selections at a time. You can also modify and add to the data as you're printing. There's one last type of printing, which is print to file. And it's kind of the opposite of file drop. Instead of receiving a file that gets sent to a shared folder and then passing it through and printing it, with print to file, we're actually sending the print job as a file to a shared folder. And this is used by a lot of specialized printers, specialized laboratory printers. Instead of using a Windows printer driver, they monitor a shared folder for new print jobs that are sent as text files or CSVs. So that's what we're doing, is we've got the data entry form, and then we send that file to the folder to get printed. So those are the different types of printing methods that we have available in QRlogix software. Before we get into the individual printing methods in more detail, let's take a look at the different types of templates and how we get them into the system. So the first thing you can do is you can import a template. So if we create a template for you, or someone, an application specialist, or someone in your organization wants to share a template with you, you can simply import it in and start using it right away. So down here towards the bottom left corner, third icon up, is Import Template. If you click on that, Window's going to open up, and then you can simply select the template you want to bring in, and then it's going to appear here on your dashboard, and it's also going to appear in the local template library. We'll look at that library in just a minute. We also have an online template. So if you want to access templates from our online gallery, click on this. Our galleries page is going to open up, and then we have different categories of templates that you can access. So you can simply click on them and then narrow the field. As you see here, we're just adding to different types of selections. Now, if I want to download one, I simply click on it, and then I can click the Use Template button. Oh, I've already got that in my system, so let's use a different example. Let's go with the Asset Tag 2 template. I'm going to select Use Template, and now it's going to appear here on my dashboard. So I can simply click on it and then start printing right away. If I want to clear this data out, I simply clear that out. And now when I print, these fields are going to be blank. So that's how we can get a template, gallery template, into our system. In addition to the online template gallery, we have the local gallery. So if you click on the New button, it's going to give you an option to create new or library. Library is, again, the local template library inside the PC. And what this does is it takes all the templates that you've downloaded every time you bring one in, like we did the Reagent 2 and the Asset Tag 2 templates. It adds it to this library. Now, what I can do is I can remove a template from our dashboard, and it will still remain in the library. So if we have templates we're working on, we don't want to clutter up our interface, we can remove them from the dashboard. We can always come back and get them here from the library, like I said. And then additionally, we can create a template from scratch. So here, if we want to create a data entry template, or if we want to create a file drop template, we click on New, we select Create New, and then it's going to ask us some questions to set it up, whether we want a common size label, or if we want to define which size. Common size labels would be here. And then you simply click on through. We've got different counters. If you want to do quantities, 1 to 20 or 12 to 15, you would select this type of counter. If you're simply doing X number of prints, X number of copies, you select this. and then you click on through and build the template accordingly. For more detail and more information, be sure to watch our video tutorial on template building. So that in a nutshell are the different ways and methods to get templates into the system. So let's jump back to the different printing methods. First, let's take a look at data entry templates. Data entry templates, this is where we type in data or we scan in data from a barcode scan and print. So in this case, this would be the top line, middle line, and bottom line. So we can simply click print, and then that data is going to get sent to the printer, or in this case, print to images. So with data entry, we're simply typing in data, printing, or we can scan in data. And the way you would scan in data is here in Customize Template. You'd click on Barcode Reader. You would scan from your barcode the sample data similar to what we see here. And I'm going to do that with a different cassette. I just scanned it in. I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is to set up a barcode reader. It's asking for the separator. The separator is the special character here that separates the data containers. In this case, it's a semicolon. So I'm going to put my semicolon here to tell it that's the separator. I'm going to unhide the barcode reader field, and then I'm going to put it in order. So field 1, we'll call it that. That's the prefix. Normally we would rename these better. Field 2 would be the 8008. That's the case number. Ideally, I should have that named as case. Field 3 would be that sample letter. Field 4, the block number. And then field 5 would be the patient name. And that's how simple it is. So I'm going to hit save. I'm going to come here. I'm going to save. Now you see the barcode reader field. What I can do is I can lock out all the fields that the barcode data is coming from, and then that way it's going to be more efficient. I don't have to tab through them all. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to rescan that cassette. There you see the data populate. Now when I click tab, it's all going to map to the fields that we just set it up. So there we have field 1, field 2, field 3. The cursor jumps to the first open field, and now I can tell it how many I want to print. And then it prints those 3 labels as we see there. So that's how data entry templates function. You can do keyboard entry, as we saw originally, or you can scan from a barcode, or you can do a hybrid of both methods. I want to show you one more feature with the data entry template. So I'm going to come out to the template gallery and I'm going to download a template. Let's find the microscope slide H1 template. Here it is. I'm going to select use template, and now it appears here on my dashboard. So I'm going to open it up, and this is a template that's optimized for histology best practices. And there's some ways that we can really optimize this for manual keyboard entry, and that we're going to leverage these buttons up here to do that. So in this case, I'm going to put in some real-world data. The prefix might be S25. The accession or case number could be 1001. A sample letter would be A. A block number could be 1. Stain could be HNE. And we'll just say Peter Pan is our patient, and then we've got some miscellaneous data. So what we can do is we can lock up the data that doesn't change. In this case, the prefix, S is surgical pathology, 25 is the year. That's not going to change unless we're doing a different kind of workflow, or we get into the next year. So I'm going to use this lock button, and I'm going to lock out the fields that might not change. Now, stain is another one. We're going to print all of our microscope slides that are H&E stains, and then we're going to change our stain fluids, and we're going to go to something different. But we're not going to bounce around from different stains because that would be super inefficient. So I can lock that up. Let's say missed data always stays the same. And let's say we're always starting with slide 1 or label 1. So I'm going to lock those fields out. Now, our patient name is going to change pretty frequently, so I'm going to clear that out. And but the other information we're going to get from the barcode. So, or we could, but in this case, we'll do manual entry just for this example. So I'm going to save this like this. And now by clicking save, all this data is going to repeat that's saved in here. So if I put in leave that blank after I saved it, and I do, let's say, Marco Polo, when I hit print, the data that I saved is going to repopulate. The data I didn't, in this case the patient name, is going to go blank. So if these are pretty common, let's say you're mostly going to have A and mostly going to have 1, you might want to leave them in and then you can tab through them. A session number, that could change. We want to, or would change between patients. So each patient is going to have a different accession. So what we can do is we can really quickly edit this information. If we have case 1492 and it's B3 and the patient is Cindy Sue and we need 3 slides, you type it in and print. And now those fields are going to clear, and you're going to do the next one, which might be 2246, and this is B2, and Santa Claus is the patient, and they need 2 slides. So what we've done is, by leveraging these buttons, is we've made it way more efficient. We don't have to retype information. We don't have to tab through some of those fields. In the case of a session, what we could do, since this is set up as a number field, is we could set it to auto increment. We could also do leading zeros. So let's say we wanted 5 zeros and have it set to auto increment. Now look at what happens. When we notice the 5 characters here. When I hit print, that's going to jump up to the next one. It's going to automatically increment. So in this case, I could lock that field out. And now when we have a new patient, all I've got to do is type in my sample data, the patient name, the number of slides, and print. And then we're back to the first one. So we could do A2 and our next patient, number of slides. And so what we've done is we've created a super efficient workflow by optimizing this form data and leveraging these different features here with the save button, the clear field button, and the lock button. So if you're doing data entry printing, you really want to take advantage of these. They're going to make your workflow much, much more efficient. Let's move on to file drop templates. And again, file drop templates are a form of automation where files, typically a text file or a CSV file, is saved to a folder that's being monitored, and then the software grabs that folder, parses it through the template, and prints it out. So I'm going to click on our file drop 1 template. Notice up at the top of the service status, the service is running. So what's going on is there's a Microsoft service running in the background called QRlogix File Drop. Here we see it's active, it's running. And what it does is it monitors this folder. So we can change the location if we need to. We can open it up if we need to. But it's monitoring that folder. Now we do need to activate the template. Now we get a green flashing light. That means everything is working, that the service is now monitoring this folder, looking for new print jobs. Now, what we've done, and just to kind of comment, it's looking for, in this case, a text file. So a text file would look something like this. It'd be a string of data that hit the folder, and then we would parse it through our template, and if everything's working properly, this would look normal, which it does. And it'll print out. So let's move this out of the way and let's do a test print. Test print's going to create a text file with this data. It's going to send it to that folder. So I hit test print, tells us it was sent to the shared folder successfully, and then notice it prints out right there. So everything is working properly. Now this all runs behind the scenes. The software doesn't even need to be open. The computer does need to be powered on, but the user that set it up could be logged off. Somebody else could be logged in and working. This is all going to run in the background. So if somebody saves a file to that folder, it's going to print it out. This is common with LIS and LIMS systems and third-party systems where you're creating a print job, sending it to a shared folder. But that's how you typically integrate and connect with LIS or LIMS systems. You can set up your folder location here. We've got the folder that it's monitoring, so you can change that. You can open it up as needed if you need to get to that folder. You can delete the files. If you want them to delete after they get processed, you would activate this. Or if you want to archive them, you can do so accordingly. Here's that default print history folder, and of course that can be changed as needed. You've got your data settings. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but these are the different fields in the text file. This is an example of what it would look like set up with this formatting. You can have it send to a certain magazine if you want. There's even a different printer if needed. You can skip header rows, reverse order, do a lot of things here in the data settings screen. And then we've got label settings, and this is the same kind of label designer. You would set it up according to your formatting needs. I'm not going to get into this now. We've got another video on Label Builder. You can learn all about it there. Lastly, we've got printer settings, and then the ability to manage the template, export, duplicate, or delete. So that's a quick overview of file drop. For more detail, click this file drop tutorial, and that's going to give you everything you need to kind of build your own file drop templates from scratch. Notice back here on our dashboard, we now have a flashing green light next to FD slide 1. That's because this template and service is currently active, and if a file were to hit that folder, it would print it out. If I come to the template and I deactivate it, now when we come back to the dashboard, that button will not be there. But that's a handy way to know that you do have an active template in the background. Next, we'll take a look at how we import from Excel and print that way. We do that here in Data Sources. And what we have to do is we actually have to have a data entry template form built to match up to our Excel or CSV column. So I'll show you how that works. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our local library, and I'm going to put the Excel tutorial template on the dashboard. And we'll see it appear here, and just so you kind of know what's going on, this is what it looks like. So if I were using it as a data entry template, I could type my information in and print accordingly. So these are some of the different fields we're going to get from Excel: case, block, name, doctor, and so on. We'll have the ability to adjust the stain in the magazine from the print queue. So I'm going to hop back to Data Sources. I've got my Excel tutorial template ready. Click on New, and in this case we're going to select Excel. We can drag and drop our Excel file in, or we can navigate to it. Here I'm going to go to my QRlogix folder. If I can get to it, there we go. Okay, there it is. That's what I was looking for. So I found my file, and it pulls it in and gives us an idea of what we're looking at. In this case, we have header rows. If we didn't, we would unselect that. But notice it now appears in our print column, so we don't want that to happen. So we're going to get the header row up there so it does not print. And I'm going to select Next. Now we need to match it to that template form. Remember the Excel tutorial template form? So we're going to match that, and then we just map the different columns. So a session column and case, those are the same thing, so they match together. Block and block match together. Patient, that's the patient name, so that matches to the name field on the form, and then doctor and doctor. So these are the different fields of data that we're going to get, the columns of data we're going to get from the Excel folder, and they're going to dump into these forms in our template. We'll give that a name. We'll just call it Excel 1 and save it. Now it's going to pull that data into the print queue as we see here. There's a few different things going on. So what we can do is we can adjust the data over here. If I wanted to say change the stain, I'm just going to pull this a little wider so you can see it actually. The stain that would appear here, notice it says retick. If I change that to say H&E, now it changes for H&E. Well, maybe they're not all H&E, so instead of printing them all, I could unselect and I could select just the ones I want to say print with H&E. Now when I print those, they're going to get sent through to the printer accordingly, and then they're going to clear out of that print queue. So maybe the rest of them need PAS, or at least the top 3 need PAS, so we would change it so it says PAS, print, and then those are going to clear out, and then we can go to retick, which is our last stain, and we can print those out. Now, what you don't need to do is reconfigure this. You can simply resave that Excel spreadsheet, and then when you come in tomorrow or for the next round of print jobs, I simply have to hit refresh data source. And it's now going to pull in the new print jobs, and you can start over accordingly. You can also clear the data source. If you need to remap it, you can edit the matching columns, and you can, of course, delete the data source as well. We've got a much more detailed video on importing and setting up data sources, so check that out if you want to learn more. But that's a quick overview of how to connect to an Excel template. So our last method of printing is print to file. And so with print to file, we're sending a text file to a shared folder as a print job. We're not receiving it, we're actually sending it. So to set that up, we would take any of our data entry templates. In this case, we'll use our Excel tutorial just because it's convenient. And what we need to do is go into Customize Template and go to Properties. And then we're going to unhide the printer. So where it says Printer Selection Hide Field, we're going to unhide that. We're going to scroll to the very bottom of our list of printers, and we're going to find Print to File and select it. And just for demonstration purposes, I'm also going to include Print to Images. So I've selected my print to file. Notice our default path is here. If we wanted to change that, we could, but we're going to stick with the default QRlogix folder print to file. And then we're going to make sure that's unhidden and hit save. And notice here, printer selection appears at the bottom of our form. And right here, we have print to file, print to images. So what we had been doing was this print to images method, so we can kind of demonstrate what would be sent to the printer. Print to file, we're not sending an image. We're only sending the data in these fields. So this is totally irrelevant. It doesn't matter where the barcode is or if you have a barcode or not, because that data doesn't go with the print job. It's simply a string of data. So let's take a closer look. I'm going to change this folder to print to file. One way I can do that was back here in Properties. When I scroll down to the very bottom, here you've got print to file. This will open that folder. So notice the folder open there. And what I'm going to do, let me clear these out. And I'm just going to put this over here. So let's see how this works. A minute ago we saw print to images. In this case, I'm going to change it to print to file, and we're going to hit print. And what it's going to do is it's going to take this data and it's going to stick it into a text file. So let's see what it looks like. So here's the text file that was sent. Oops, move this so you can see. Data should look familiar. That's right there. The second field is here. The third field is here. The stain is here. So all it did was it took all that data from this form, created a text file, and again sends it to this folder that's being monitored by a printer to print out. So that's how you do print to file. Pretty simple stuff. That touches on all the different type of printing methods: data entry, file drop, import from data source, and print to file. That's just a quick overview. Again, we have more detailed videos that go into a lot more detail. But thanks for watching this introduction, and let us know if you have questions or need assistance.